Soren, back from the depths of domesticity with an exclusive MTV retrospective entitled Motley Crude. Subtitle, That Time Vince Neil Killed Someone in His Car and Got Away with It. Subtitle, a two-part investigative report into the cultural degradation of the 1980s as exemplified by the amoral, misogynistic, and baffling phenomenon of glam metal and its loyal devotees. Joining me tonight for this stylized rendition of the truth is a very special lady.
Special ladies.
Ladies, plural?
Well, I'm more than what you see in the flesh. You being singular, Tabitha, unlike you, I am an amalgamation of 4 or 5 different women, all of whom were married to or had children by Vince. I can also travel fluidly from the past to the present. That's for another specialized place.
Interesting. Did I mention that I'm a mother now and I went to grad school at Stanford?
Call me Beth, the first wife. I tend to identify with first.
Well, back into singularity. Let's jump into the fires. We have a lot of ground to cover. Now, for our audience who may not be aware of the particulars, would you mind providing a little context? I hate to be the only one supplying expository information.
I understand completely. Vince was, or should I say is, a singer of the most banal breed. Attractive by certain camera angles, rarely to the naked eye. Long, stringy, bleach blonde hair, complete lack of collagen and nutrients. Average to above average penis size. Abusive, but tender where it counts. An alcoholic, but adoringly apologetic. I believe his IQ is in the 110-115 range.
How did y'all meet?
I was a groupie, a model, a mud wrestler, a shoulder to cry on in rehab. You see, Tabitha, the stories about how women meet and fall in love with rock stars are largely unapologetic and perverse. But for our purposes, I'll just say this. I was friends with Lita Ford. Yeah, that Lita Ford. The tightest bitch in rock and roll. She and I would hang out every night on the Sunset Strip. Ever heard of it? Thought not. One night, at the Rainbow after a gig, he saw me from across the bar. Ordered me a shot of Goldschlager. We shared a pack of pools. He gave me a ride home. We took the coast, got out, walked along the beach. Our conversation centered around his tactics to becoming the center of attention. How fucking beautiful my eyes were. Does this make you uncomfortable?
My producer is motioning to me, waving a cue card that says the Esplanade. Any idea of the relevance? Is that a Spanish word?
You're pronouncing that incorrectly. It's the Esplanade. A popular thoroughfare in Redondo parallels the Pacific. The same boulevard that Vince would one day wreck his 1972 Ford de Tomaso Pantera into an oncoming Volkswagen van. Oh, right. That's why we're here. Razzle.
Nicholas Stingley, better known as Razzle of the Finnish band Hanoi Rocks. A rather controversial name given the recent proximity to conflict in Vietnam.
There were 2 other people in the Volkswagen. They were badly hurt.
Oh, no one ever talks about them. They weren't famous.
Do you hear the tone in her voice?
Tell them how it ends. Tell them how Vince spent a mere 15 days in prison and how he paid $2.6 million in restitution and damages.
Sure, it was a sabbatical for him. But no one ever thinks about what the poor wife went through, a newborn daughter at home.
And then there was the public service announcement that he did for drunk driving. I mean, have you guys seen this?
You tried killing a man and then have them put a camera in your face a few months later. Let's see how you do. I know how culture is made.
These are the things I was told happened.
Okay. The thing is, I am completely aware of the New York cultural bias. I understand how Patti Smith can write a memory play, fabricated retellings of addiction and solitude, and it's art. She was star fucking like the rest of us. We just
Now, to be fair, the factual retellings show your ex-husband, Vince Neil Wharton's blood alcohol content was clearly past the legal limit, and there are consequences.
God damn it, he was in a good place then. This is Beth talking now, the first wife, the one who was there the night it happened. We were hosting a 3-day party at our condo off the Esplanade, and he had just come back from a 7-month tour. His whole band was there. The Hanoi Rocks guys, too, slender, little Europeans. I remember it was wet outside for some reason. Vince walked up to me and he said, babe, he called me babe, he called everyone babe. He said, babe, we're going on a booze run. And when I looked in his eyes, I knew he wasn't going to be the one to die.
Now, I'm going to pause here because this is an example of the type of situation I would find myself in during my stint as a journalist at MTV in its heyday. I wouldn't last long in this capacity as the interlocutor between celebrity and civilian, but I would become its poster child. It broke me. I would seek shelter in photography, motherhood, and scholastics. But secretly,
Get over yourself. You're a set of tits like the rest of us. You had a studio in Manhattan. We had a condo in Redondo, just off the Esplanade, 5th floor. Ocean views, Pacific Ocean views.
'Twas dazzling, that view.
ah, that must be our surprise guest.
Vince, baby, is that you?
Oh no.
From that perch, you couldn't help but identify with something greater. The Pacific was even more frightening in person. Alas, great sea, your shores, your diamonds, your porpoises full of holes. I remember trying to have a conversation with Mick.
Razzle.
In the flesh, in a loin.
Give it up for Razzle!
This is all very humbling.
No, you're in a safe place now. At a live place.
Oh, I'm not fearful, not even close. I just hadn't intended on being personified. I prefer to hover in conceptual obscurity.
Enough with the smarty pants chatter. Get on with what you were saying about Mick.
Yes, Mick Mars, strange bird, that one. He too was struggling to regain his concept of self, and the heavy quantities of heroin he was ingesting wasn't helping his quest. There are times you encounter someone so dark, so collapsed, you just have to walk away, and fast. So I came back up the condo and wandered around in the lobby, fished out a few of the most promising cigarette butts I could find from the commoner's ashtray. The doorman was sniffing wise to my intentions, so I took the lift back up to the 5th floor, and I knocked on the door.
More like pounding.
Ha! Apology. I'm sure I had to urinate quite profusely. Did you let me in?
Of course I let you in. I was extremely attracted to you. I still am.
Oh, that's very nice. Did we?
Not even close. I was pregnant at the time.
This was in Redondo?
Yes, we've established that several times.
No, it's just that it would make a much better story if it was in, say, the French Riviera, or well, if you want to keep it in LA, maybe Chateau Marmont, or even Topanga. Why Redondo?
It's affordable. It's a quality community. It's more accepting of a certain type of celebrity that Los Angeles just isn't. The Esplanade is just as reputable as your beloved Pacific Coast Highway.
The Esplanade.
Esplanade!
This doesn't have the same ring to it. It sounds cheap like cubic zirconia.
Listen, bitch, I have $14.5 million in the bank.
Hey man, I like your kit. What do you call if I hopped in for a number maybe later?
All right, the night of the accident. Tell me.
All right. Well, my senses were acute, being with child and all. The scent of Cuervo and perspiration filled our 1,700 square foot condominium. There are different fragrances of sweat for heroin, for cocaine, for liquor. I became aware of all of them simultaneously.
Men tend to dominate the olfactor.
And then there was the masculine form itself. Germanic features, high cheekbones, the ability to wear eyeliner routinely. These are all qualities that I saw in myself.
I take it you're speaking of Razzle and not Vince?
Yes, but you must understand, it was not my desire for him to have entered me as a lover, but rather for him to have exited from me. I was extremely matronly of him. Are you following this?
You saw him as your project.
Did I mention it was a 3-day party? Hanoi Rocks had just come back from their first tour, and Razzle was full of notions and stories from the American road.
Vince told me about the time he met David Lee Roth at Canton. How amazing. I want a story like that.
That accent.
Vince told me about the time Diamond Dave explained to him how the music business really works. About the importance of finding a good attorney. About the need to become attached to the publishing, not the performance.
Why are you talking like that? I thought you were Finnish.
It's a slower, more pronounced dialect distinct to the Isle of Wight, where I'm from. Do I look Finnish?
We talked until the sun went down and came back up again. And Vince wasn't even jealous. He joked and said,
Hey, Razzle, where'd you put the dazzle? There goes my razzle, missing his dazzle.
he could sound like anyone and at the same time only like himself.
Truth be told, I really don't take issue with the way events unfolded over the course. As I lay dying in Vince's lap, shards of glass from the dozens of liquor bottles implanted into me loins, I was overcome with such a feeling of warmth that I let go without a fight. Looking back, I think I must have sensed that we were destined for the great dolloping of rock and roll obscurity, and any form of tragedy to beset our fledgling band would only help to preserve our immortality. After all, that's why I'm here. But this is not my forum. I return.
So Vince left you for a female mud wrestler.
This is my story. I'm trying to frame the narrative in a way that you understand.
Understand what?
That there is a chasm between what certain groups of people find entertaining.
Hey,
It's your stage too, baby.
Tabitha, you must remember, this was 1984. Makeup metal was on its second iteration, and there was no real threat of anyone in our industry being involved in Satanism any longer. What is rock and roll without a real sense of threat or menace? A clear ploy to shock elders and attract the impressionable. Anyone involved in this racket knew the party was soon to be over, and the gig was soon to be up. So it was a sort of strike while the iron's hot kind of mentality, a rush for the acquisition of shiny objects.
You know, this is the kind of insight that could have kept me in journalism.
Yes, but tell her about the other side. About the endless supply of pussy, needles, and vomiting out your own asshole.
There was some of that, to be sure.
And listening to your husband fuck a 17-year-old while you're trying to sleep in the next room with an 8-month-old fetus inside of you.
I knew what was going on. But who was I to tell Vince that his best days were already far behind him?
So you get into the Pantera.
I envied that car, with its muted shade of red. He looked at me as I searched for the safety belt. He said, "We're not going far."
The liquor store was 4 blocks away.
We get out of the car, and I follow him inside, into the fluorescence. Proprietors seem to know him there, and he seems to know them, but I suspect he's putting on a show for me. He fills my arms with assorted spirits, domestic and foreign, boxes of lager, throws down a small stack of bills on a counter, and we're back in the Pantera. Oh, how I wanted that car! There was no rear cargo area, mind you, so I had the alcohol surrounding me in the passenger seat. Bottles upon bottles, stacked between my thighs, resting on my abdomen, my loins. He says, "Let's open her up, shall we?" And on that note, we're in motion.
It was a blind hill. A steep slope. The city should have had a sign.
That nonsense about everything slowing down, it's only true if you live. For me, it was lights out.
So, who found him? You and Nikki?
Yeah. Well, I told Nikki that something was wrong.
Nikki 6. Real name Frank Carlton Serafino Ferrana Jr.
Yeah. Follow along. I said, Nikki, you gotta take me out there, Nikki. Around the baby, and I can feel the fetus swaying to and fro inside my uterus, but I keep going. Why would they? They're surrounding you, injecting you, pumping your chest, clearing your esophagus of blood and glass. That's when I look around and I realize how fast everything can turn.
Oh, no. I don't think we're ready to cut to a music video just yet.
No, I thought that's what all this was leading up to. The catharsis of metal. A slow piano refrain that segues seamlessly into the crisp, dazzling, guitar-laden chorus. Soft into the loud, slowly building. 14,000 fans rising to feel something finally!
You have to play the hit. There's no getting around it. The people demand it.
It's just that those 80s metal ballads don't age particularly.
Oh.
Theater of Pain reached number 6 on the U.S. charts. It was certified quadruple platinum, and the liner notes featured a dedication to Razzle. The song Home Sweet Home serving as a makeshift sonic memorial.
That album was thrown together while Vince was awaiting sentencing. It's a quick knockoff of Smoking in the Boys' Room with 8 or 9 truly forgettable songs.
And this one. This one saved the album.
It certainly did. In the summer of '85, the video was in heavy rotation. 8 plays a day at
Vince always thought that this song brought him closer to God.
I wish I could have heard it for myself. Mine own ears.
He said he wrote it with you in mind. But I always saw it as his way of becoming the victim.
Where is Vince? He really should be here. This is his story, yeah?
Vince, baby, get out here.
He's not here.
What? Oh, he has to be here. You guys want Vince, right?
Yeah.
I said he's not available.
I'd be honored to step in.
Oh, come on. Vince!
Cut short again!
Listen, if this band does not play that song, if Vince doesn't come out here and sing that song, you're gonna have a small melee on your
He
hands.
wasn't asked to participate.
How is that possible? You have a responsibility as a journalist to provide closure to your audience. You're making this all about you.
Yeah, this smells of an agenda. What about me?
If I allow Vince to come out here and sing that song and cry those little tears down his fat, swollen cheeks and soak it all up at the bar after the show, he'll walk out here feeling like he's